mechanically.
Let's go. Game
They
ketiga.
really well coordinated
Aurora
kind of lineups.
versus
They used to go for the Jaw and
Onic,
Selena, which I feel
Philippines.
posed this similar question in the regular season. And this is kind of really close to that same pattern, right? The Kalea into the Selena, so they might make it work.
And it comes down to playing what you know. Something tells me there was a discussion and the Kimmy was a legit option. It's just the Superfam decides, Prince, whatever you're comfortable with, let's make it work. Game 3 finally upon us. Aurora early start.
Good.
200 gold lead, forcing a flicker from Prince.
Ooh, that was very nasty shots here. Forcing flicker as well is a pretty big resource, especially for a Selena, which usually you would use that to really take out the target.
Yeah, Brusco will be having a huge responsibility in this game. Like, he has to protect multiple members of Onic Philippines, or primarily Keller later on, but for now it's Super Prince. And they're just playing it so aggressively.
Oh, look at that, Brusco as well. Man, Demon Kite is... you can feel it, right? You can feel the bloodlust in Demon Kite right now.
Because really, how often do you get your hands on a Fanny?
Yep.
And it's this pick really that defined how Onic could play around with the remaining 5 picks, not just 3 or 4. The 5 picks, the whole draft, they had to cater to answering Demon Kite's Fanny, which opened up for the Jawhead, which opened up for the Harriet, even the CC. So now, lane to lane, you could say that maybe that mid trio is where Onic struggles. How about the sides?
Yeah. Sides are pretty much what you would definitely want to go for if you just want the way to manage things out, not necessarily directly winning. And that's in terms of the gold lane. They are going to definitely go for the farm later on, but the CC definitely is supposed to have a great time in terms of the EXP lane. But there, we will be seeing some assistance from King Kong, however, so they get to include Kirk as they set up for this turtle.
Yeah, that turtle is going to be pretty solid for Onic. I don't think there's any
Kirk.
danger immediately unless Strategy does stuff like this. Look at that. It's Brusco up on front, zoning it up as much as he can for King Kong to take it with Retribution. Demon Kite missing out on the few cables here, but there you go. Tsunami Slam slows them down only for a moment, going down to the Leia, but the rest of the team from Onic is actually in trouble.
What?
Oh my goodness.
King Kong gets thrown back to the Wolves. In comes the rest of Aurora.
Buset, maniak anjay, menit 2.
What?
Mr. Consistent with the perm. He's feeling himself. Gets a maniac to open up game number 3. The bottom.
Buset.
Force the flicker out of Kelra, and that is going to be a huge resource. Just when you thought these two gold laners were very 50-50, in comes Demon Kite, and there is the threat of the Fanny.
That is probably the only thing that isn't consistent about Mr. Consistent, and it's his hair.
The hair.
But right now, it was so surprising to see him actually get that maniac. He's way ahead of everyone just because of that, and you were expecting this kind of result in terms of the laning phase, but for it to extend all the way, this is going to be a huge problem for Onic Philippines. Aurora can be playing it a lot more aggressively than they are.
Tit for tat. Onic and Aurora are outwitting and outplaying each other. It was impressive how Kirk ran away and survived the initial onslaught of Aurora, right? Flickered away, even when he got caught by the ejector from Renegade. But man, how Aurora kept their ground and forced Onic to stay in and score those 4 kills. Another turtle spawning.
I was actually trying to recall like the exact sequence which happened. It was supposedly a great start for Onic since the Abyssal Arrow from Super Prince did deny that Feathered Airstrike, which could have eliminated Brusco. But it just so happened that the fight extended too long and Aurora were able to find their footing. But now Killer,
Kill Demon Kite again. Pretty easy to dodge those SODs if you are a fan of cabling in and out. Takes that kill pretty easily, but look at that, despite that maniac, Edward given a hard time here on top side.
Thou shalt not touch Abun Jing Jing. Aurora overkill on that attempt with Kelra, but this does open up the turtle.
Yep, they'll get the trades and a turret away from Onic Philippines, and Onic are yet to secure a turret for themselves, which means that Aurora, still despite this turtle that's secured by Onic, are in the lead somehow. And that is something that you still have to consider if you are Onic Philippines. You see the potential, but so far Aurora is able to capitalize on even the slightest miscalculations that Onic Philippines does.
Keeping it tight here. Coming in with a Tsunami Slam. Brusco, that's a
Edward.
perfect target. Edward is out. No current call available. Means that they can kind of go crazy. But here comes Dolmen Kite and Demon Kite. That combo is so scary. The damage is just erupting.
DK coming in
Weh,
so
kena
fast.
dong.
Oh! He was glitching! Dominkai gets hit
Itu
by
dia
the
loh.
spear of destruction. Does not click it.
All right.
Honestly, the entire story changes once Demon Kite joins the fight. So Onic have to be very calculated in terms of whether or not they want to fully commit in the team fights, knowing fully well that Demon Kite can just follow up any moment, because that's where the cleanup can come in. The damage that Demon Kite is able to provide at this point is something they should definitely take seriously. He's a level ahead of King Kong, and now Aurora's looking to take another turret away from Onic.
I really like it when Dolmen Kite's Synchrovision and Chrono Dashes just go and toe-to-toe with the Fanny. Oh my god. Can really turn down targets in the dust.
And that's mainly one of Demon Kite's strengths is he understands and he smells a good fight even miles away. Renegade here put down to a fifth of his health. We're waiting for Kelra to feel himself too. We're waiting for Kelra to say it's go time, but I guess the whole Super Fam understands that we have to play on the back foot.
Yeah.
Defensive, despite getting both turtles so far.
Yeah, because Kelra yesterday, I feel a lot of us have seen just how phenomenal his performance was on the Moskov, just constantly pressuring the lanes and even trying to close out the game a couple of times. But this is different since they have, or Aurora has the Fanny, so there's at least one member in Aurora who could actually deal with him, and that's what we were talking about.
There's a solo kill you get when you have a Fanny. Again, not so surprising, but what's surprising here, Super Friends once more forced out of a flicker, keeping the team fight going. Kirk is gonna have to take a back step here, but he is trying to get in with an Infernal Pursuit, but not gonna be enough to slow down Aurora. And this time around, it's gonna be the Northern Lights with control of the Turtle Pit.
Final one going over to Aurora. SOD thrown up by Kelra. He knows it's best not to tempt fate here, and a push. Oh my god, Aurora converging through the roof.
Here goes Brusco again. For some reason, doesn't really pull off the Tsunami Slam. He doesn't have it. It's on cooldown. And now they're gonna just watch Aurora as they just walk away.
Defensive maneuvers by Aurora. They're happy with what they got. And Onic is ever more getting buried in value. 3,000 gold lead now.
Yeah, but it's getting very difficult for Onic Philippines to actually do things across the other side of the map or look for the trades, because that one instance wherein they did try, because that is what you would typically expect from a Moskov in the gold lane, right? You go the opposite lane wherever the objective is and you just use your SOD to catch up to the team fight. But Demon Kite, he just made sure that he was able to see where Kelra was planning to go, take him out first before proceeding to the turtle. And that is just Aurora being very decisive and knowing how exactly to deal with Onic Philippines lineup so far. They can't do much because, again, this is a Fredrin jungle, so you're really expecting them to invest in the potential team fights that can happen later on.
And what's worse is Aurora can do this with very little punish from Onic's side. Onic can commit to, again, that Fredrin, can protect Kelra. And Aurora, if ever it fails, they can just move. They can just go elsewhere.
Yeah, and again, it's all... that Tsunami Slam is just so crucial here because it's basically the only reliable source of CC they have, aside from Energy Eruption. So are you going to use it on Demon Kite or Doming or whoever, right?
Yeah, but
even Energy Eruption isn't confirmed. You're not a Flicker Fredrin, you're a Retribution Fredrin.
That's true.
So you have to walk up and make sure you get the taunt on 2 solid targets.
yeah, the thing is, it's always Renegade going in first, but it seems like this time around,
It's going to be a different guy targeted here. Renegade flickers out, but will go down to the Appraiser's Wrath. That's a -1, but Curtain Call already casted by Edward. Here comes Demon Kite, but I don't think he's ready for the party. Just not dressed quite there yet. I think he only has some shorts and slippers, and everyone's just all pimped out.
This sounds too specific to be just theoretical. Aurora now retreating. They know they can't pick this fight for V5. Oh no, Onic blitzing the Lord.
I don't know if they can answer this. There's a good knockup from the Lord. He's gonna be the Phantom 5th man. There goes Edward going down. US still keeping it steady, but even the Venom's airstrikes will not be able to slow down Onic right now, who only has Demon Kite and Doming up on toe. Four members make that 5.
Lord still standing, and Onic PA scores!
And they get it. There you go. The Lord going over to Onic this time around.
what a clutch title strike coming in from Brusco just to deny that
Retrinya ke
retribution
Brusco,
from
guys.
Demon Kite because he was just standing there. It could have been a retry battle between two of these junglers, and Aurora were willingly taking that despite them not being complete, despite them losing a couple of their members before that team fight. I mean, it's just Onic Philippines now knowing how to take advantage of that messy team fight that's taking over, that's happening all over the place.
Check out this Infinix hand cam. I would imagine that as the Fanny, Demon Kite had to, have 13, 14 fingers to make sure that he was in the right spot, to even have thoughts of stealing that Lord. I could swear, oh my God, Kirk picks off Renegade.
That was out of nowhere, and I think Onic really used this leverage, not to mention there's a Lord walking on bottom.
Oh my God.
Very bad for Onic.
Nowhere the comeback for the Super Fam, the capacity crowd here in the Green Sun Hotel, the Champions Arena, are feeling it. Suddenly, the defending champions are on the offensive.
Yep, everything changed the moment they decided to engage in a full-on team fight with Onic being prepared. That's what happens when they're actually able to position themselves first compared to Aurora, because the moment Renegade decided to check the area, they were able to punish him to some extent, forcing them to hesitate somehow before actually taking on the next fight. And that is a very similar scenario to what happened in that objective. And now this is where all the bodyguards come in for Kelra. This is where he can freely do his thing.
Hey, Kelra, so far, all season 15 long, #3 least deaths.
Oh.
He is up there when it comes to bulletproof stats. King Kong, #1 average gold per game. He understands how much Kelra needs the bank. So suddenly Onic are playing on their feet here. They've adjusted well enough to now have a gold lead for the first time. For the first time in 12 minutes, they have the gold lead.
I guess it boiled down to just biding your time and knowing when to actually overtake your opponent. And they did it the best way they know how. Pick someone off and capitalize.
Yep, even when we see that, or even when this entire Maniac, when Edward was able to position himself well earlier, now they're taking advantage of all that. Wait!
Yep. Capitalizing right now on one going down is Renegade again, the victim of the Tsunami Slam. Edward still available as a frontline, but only for a moment. He is actually very low as well, forcing Aurora to go back.
That
one for one.
A difficult trade.
Yeah.
They exposed Kelra to stop Aurora's forward momentum, and it came at the price of just Renegade. Not even his flicker, just Renegade.
Yeah, and Aurora probably knows by now that that's pretty much what they have to do. Once you take out Kelra, you saw how Onic immediately was forced to retreat. They cannot proceed with the fight, especially considering that there is an upcoming objective. They can't lose any more members, and that is what they have to consider right now. They have all their eyes set on Kelra, which you did mention is supposedly up there in terms of the bulletproof leaderboards, but he's already 4 deaths in this game.
This is not an ideal KDA score for Kelra. Lord Dance initiated Demon Kite at 1/3 of his health. I think Aurora have to reconsider.
And that all came from one arrow hitting, by the way. That was insane.
And the Lord knock up and everything else in
Phantom
between.
Fifth Man.
This is where the Fredrin comes in. This is where you would have the Fredrin 9 times out of 10 instead of the Fanny. A Lord Dance like this. And Onyx doing it again. They're blitzing the Lord.
They're doing it again. They have the damage. They know they do. They know where the Aurora members are. Demon Kite, where are you? Are you going to be in an angle to go for the Retribution Steal, though? He will get stunned up. That's vision for Onic. I think they will blitz it out this time around. King Kong getting that Lord, and the fight is going to be very, very bad here for Aurora. The Super Friends on a different angle. They're jumping. They're piling onto each other. And there you go. Aurora members free remaining. Make that just Yue. And I think that could be Onic running it down mid.
11-11. Make a wish at the 14-minute mark. Onic just forced Aurora to play in the paint, and Aurora can't do that.
It's a wipeout for Aurora, and you did mention it. It's exactly the angles that Super Friends just played around with.
Beautifully done. It's Onic Philippines in Game 3.
Match point for the Super Fam in the upper bracket semis.